You know, some of the most hateful words that I have seen expressed by people are the same people that with the same mouth, same words, tell people that they are Christian, that they are fighting for the unborn, some, that they are fighting to save America, that they are fighting for this, for that. The truth of the matter is, if you look at the life of Jesus, addressing those that call themselves Christian, he didn't come to win anything. He came to lose. Think about that. When he was taken before, the Roman emperor, he didn't even answer him. When he asked him, who do you say you are? He would not even respond. And then Pilate was so angry that he said to him, he said, do you realize that I have the power to set you free or to execute you? That's the only time that Jesus answered when he said, no, you have absolutely no power. The power over my life lies upon the hands of God. Ain't that something? And the interesting thing that if I was Jesus, I would have said, you know what, Pilate? As recently I heard Andy Stanley say so well, for the rest of humanity, for the rest of history, you will only be remembered as a footnote in my story. All your great accomplishments, all your great victories, all the great structure that you built will go totally unnoticed. When people think of Pontius Pilate, all they will think about is that you crucified a king. Think about that. That's all they will think. And as I relate that to the world we live in today, where there is so much hatred and so much division, do we ever stop to ask ourselves, how will history remember us? Will history remember us because we hated Democrats? Will history remember us because we hated Republicans? How will history remember us? Will history remember us because we built great fortunes like Bezos, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and others? I don't believe that 100 years from now, any of them people will be remembered. Will history remember us because we were an ardent Trump supporter? Will history remember us because we love Biden? I don't believe so. See, I believe that the only way that history is going to remember are those people that changed the world. See, those people that are crazy enough to believe that they can change the world are the ones that will change the world. And who are those people? Are those people that love. Those people that don't fight back with words. Those people that don't have to always win. See, we're not in it to win. See, if we follow the example, like I said, we have a choice whether to follow God or not. We have a choice whether to follow Jesus or not. But what we do not have a choice is how we follow Jesus. Think hard about that. We have a choice to follow or not. I didn't follow him for many, many years. I was an atheist. But we do not have a choice how we follow. So then how do we follow him? Well, it's real simple. You don't have to earn a Ph.D. like I did in Bible. You don't have to know how to learn ancient manuscripts like I did. You don't have to know any of that. All you have to do is know one passage spoken by the person himself. If you want to be my follower, I will tell you what you got to do to be my follower. If you want to follow Pablo Escobar back then, he will tell you what it would take. So whoever you have followed in history or in your lifetime, there were rules and there were mandates on how to follow that person. And then you chose whether you really wanted to follow that person or not. But if you were to follow Pablo, you didn't get to choose how you followed him. So therefore, if he told you that he wanted you to kill somebody, what would you do? How about when he told one of his best soldiers to kill his best friend who was also his second top assassin because Pablo wanted his girl? What would he do? Would he continue to follow Pablo and then kill his best friend? Or will he say, no, I will not follow you and not kill his best friend? He ended up killing his best friend because he wanted to follow Pablo. So therefore, with Jesus, it's very simple. Jesus said, his words are very, very clear. Feed the hungry. Visit those in prison and hospital. But above all, love God with all your spirit, heart, and soul, and love your neighbor. Or no great commandment have I given you, that you love one another as I have loved you. Wow, ain't that amazing? So how has he loved us? How about for us that believe in Christ unto the cross, unto crucifixion, unto dying? You know why I think that Judas was the smartest of all disciples? Because Judas was the treasurer. So he had to be, a numbers man. But Judas saw that every time that Jesus gathered like a bunch of people, the first thing that he would say is, don't tell anybody. Whatever miracle he's done, he didn't want people to know about it. And then when he gathered 1,000, what he told them? Go away. So they could not understand that because forever and ever the Jewish people were waiting for this Davidic Messiah that was going to come and overthrow the Roman and put themselves in a position of power. Because that's what humanity is. It's all about power. It's why we see the division that we see today. It isn't because we really love people. When we fight for the unborn, but yet we are so ugly. And I'm not saying we should not fight. I believe we should fight for the unborn. But we should not fight for the unborn any more than we should fight for the one that is born. How is it that 5 million people, children, go to bed crying at night hungry in a country full of obese people? How can that be? Why is it that we're only 4% of the world's population, but yet we have 24%, 27% of all incarcerated people in the world? Is it because Americans are worse than anybody else? And they deserve to go to jail more than anybody else? I don't think so. Because, see, if America is a Christian nation like some people thought or said it was, then, man, it's a pretty bad nation. Now, I'm not talking about everyone. I'm talking in generality. And if any of my words offend you, stop and ask yourself why. I'm challenging you. If someone calls me anything they want to call me, and it's not something that is real, or it doesn't apply to me, it doesn't affect me one bit. So therefore, when we look at why thousands and hundreds of thousands of youth are not going to church, we need to ask ourselves why. Is it because they never read the Bible, because they don't love Jesus? For a long time, I wanted to quit going to church. And I quit going to a church because I felt that, number one, the people that did not represent what I believed that the God I wanted to serve represented. It's that simple. As a matter of fact, I believe that most people that leave the church know the Bible and simply do not believe that those in the church represent anything that Jesus taught or Jesus showed, or Jesus' desire of his disciple. So it's really simple. When you have a leader at work and you want to follow that leader, he will tell you how to follow him. Now, you choose to or not. Again, I repeat, we choose to follow or not follow. But if we choose to follow, we got to follow the way we are told to follow. So I believe that if Christ was to come to earth and walk amongst us today, I believe he'd be kicked out of most churches. He'd probably be called a communist. He will be called a Democrat. He will be called the ugliest of words. I mean, I had people that I loved dearly, insult the hell out of me because they thought I had voted for Biden. I've never told anyone who I voted for. I'll tell you what, I did not vote for Trump. And again, it is real simple for me. And for those that follow me or decide to unfollow me, here's the news. Couldn't care less. Why? Because whatever I'm going to do the rest of my life, I'm going to do it out of integrity, out of honor, out of transparency. I'm 66. I laid in the floor of a Panamanian jail at the age of 23 because I was not willing to sacrifice my integrity, my word. I did not want my children to ever have anyone point their fingers at them that their father was not a man. See? So then how can at 66, so that I can gain followers, tickle your ear? Could care less. See, there's two things social media does, as I've said many, many times before. It either entertains or educates. I'm not here to entertain you. There's just a lot there to be entertained by. I hope that I can educate you through my life experience, through what I've lived, through the pain that I have gone through, the choices that I made, horrific, that have really pained me. I hope that I can, through those experiences, help you somehow. I hope that through what I do, I send more and more books to prisons. Recently, I just read a message today and say from a gentleman that said, I don't know how to thank you. You changed my life. I read your book, Narco Mindset, in prison. See, and that's what I live for. I don't live for clicks. I don't live for likes. I don't live for the subscribers. I live for that one person who, through my story and my life experience, changes their lives. And I pray that if Jesus was to come into this earth, he will say, well done. Now, I make a lot of bad choices still every day. I'm not perfect by no means. But I tell you what I do. I love people. I don't judge people. I do all that I can to make a difference in the world. I'm not touting myself or patting myself in the back. I'm so far from perfection. I'm so far from being what I really would like to become. But I'm working on it. And I've been working on it for many, many, many years. But the main components of me is that I am a person of faith. That I do choose to follow Christ the way he told me to follow him. I love God with all my heart, spirit, and soul. And I love my brothers. I love those who hate me and those who love me. And the truth is, those that say bad things about me doesn't affect me one bit. Because I know who I am. And that's what's important in this world. And instead of spending my whole life talking horrific things about Trump or about Biden or about Democrats or Republicans, I choose to send a book to a prisoner and let them know, hey, you know what? I love you, man. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I just pray you don't. The system is made up for people to go to jail and stay in jail. So just follow my lead. And it will be hard, but you don't ever look back. It was very, very hard for me, but I didn't look back. So we live in a world today that is chaotic. It's very, very chaotic. It's extremely divisive. If we read the Bible, for those that call themselves Christian, read the Bible, read Hebrews, and talk about how Paul says that we should stop the division amongst us. See, a divided nation can be conquered. United Nations stand strong. The strongest moments in our lives as a country have been when we've been united. But it just seems that in the last 10 years, we are so divided. And what are our children seeing? What are our grandchildren seeing? What is our conversation like at home? Is it all politics? Interesting that up to 1986, the Southern Baptist Convention was so pro-choice. And then Jerry Falwell came along and became very pro-life. But pro-life is a term that we really need to take serious. Because when we tell people that we are pro-life, we need to be pro-all life. Even that man laying in death row, about to be executed. That is a life. Those children separated from their mother at the border. That is a life. Yeah, we should have secure borders. I don't debate that. We should have legal immigration. We should make it possible for people to come here legally. But ask yourself, if you lived in a country where you had no opportunity, you were persecuted by drug cartels or whoever, the life of your children was at risk, and you were going hungry, would you not cross any fence or any border seeking an opportunity? What would Jesus say about that? There used to be a time that we would wear a bracelet that said, what would Jesus do? What would he say about feeding someone hungry? What would he say about separating a mother from her child at the border? What would he say about that? Again, I was privileged. I was a Cuban. We came to the United States privileged. We were allowed to come legally. But there's many that are not. There's many Mexicans that want to come here for a better opportunity. So interesting. To a land that most of it we took from them. That's the reality. So, as we go through this earth, and as we go through this short life that we live, and do not fear any consequences for our behavior, our word, our action, fear none. Ask ourselves, if there is no life after our life on earth, if there is no afterlife, then don't worry about it. Just keep doing whatever you want to do. Have fun, sin as much as you want, because the truth of the matter is, I had a lot of fun committing sin. But it was not. It is satisfying. It was fun, but it was not satisfying. And it had tremendous consequences. But if we do believe that there's an afterlife, like I believe most people do, and if we do believe that there will come a day when we will be judged, then how should we behave? Should we? What would we say? So now I'm going to talk strictly to those that call themselves Christians. Call themselves Christians. There's all kinds of explanations, directions, whatever you want to call it in the Bible about Judgment Day, that we will be judged for every word. Liars will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. On and on and on and on. Love others as I have loved you. Do we love others? Republicans, do you love Biden like Jesus tells you to? Democrats, do you love Trump like Jesus tells you? I'm not saying that you love their policies. Nowhere did the Bible say love those whose policy equal yours. No, it just said love. And I can tell you this, that the most hardened of all hearts will respond to unconditional love. So my brothers, my sisters, I thank God that I have an opportunity every day to live another day. And I know that everything I said is not pleasing to everybody, but I'm not here to please people. I'm here to please someone much greater than me. That's what I believe. And like I told my doctor recently when I had this serious heart defect that can take my life any day, I said, Doc, I don't fear death because I believe that if I die, I'm going to be with my parents, my grandparents I never met, and I'm going to be with Jesus. And then somehow I looked, and she seemed like she might not be a believer. And I said, and if it's all BS, if there is no Jesus, there's no afterlife, well, I'm just going to be fertilized like you. But while I lived on this earth, I'm going to love you. Every single person listening to this message, I'm going to love you. No matter what. No matter who you stand for, who you vote for, political affiliation is not a qualification to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Political affiliation is not a qualification to be a good person. But I'm going to tell you what is a qualification to be a good person. It's not to be a hateful person. Hate does not solve anything. Extremes do not solve conflict. Problems and conflicts are not solved in the far left or far right. They're solved in the middle. And love can change anybody's heart. Hatred can just do nothing but make us angrier and angrier. I see some people that are so hateful, over the fact that Trump is not the president anymore, that I wonder how many hours have they wasted hating. I mean, ugly hating. Believing that you're going to save our nation. Save our nation from what? The only one that can save our nation is God. The only savior for our nation is love. Hatred ain't going to serve nothing. Division is not going to save nothing. We're not going to overturn no government. We're just letting people infuriate us in social media, in television, in podcasts, so that we give them more money. We give them thousands and thousands and millions to do what? Save our nation? I'll tell you how you can save our nation. By loving people to a point that they say, hey, there's something about this person that I want to be like. That's how you save our nation. When we go back, the people that come to America and see us and say, you know what makes America great? It's not technology. It's not opportunity. It's nothing but its people. But today we can say that what makes America great is its people, because its people have become so ugly and so divided. You can't change everybody, but you can change you. And if you can change you, you can bring change to the world. So it is my prayer that whether we decide to follow Jesus or not, that at least we listen to his instructions. We all mostly believe in God, whatever that might be, in whatever religion we are, or whatever faith or lack of faith. If we believe in a superpower, love that superpower. Love God. All with all your heart. But above all, even if you don't believe in God, love your neighbor. Let your neighbor know that there's something different about you. That you are a different person. And that your love radiates so much that even the times that they want to hate you, they can't. They can't. See, that's what Gandhi says. I'm not going to overpower people into submission. I'm going to love people into not ever wanting to confront me or to overpower me. Isn't that interesting? Hate solves nothing, achieves nothing, resolves nothing. Love conquers everything. Be blessed.